Good evening. My name is Mike Koss, and it's Thursday, January 29th, 2015. And this is the oral interview that is the assignment for History 300 at Liberty University this semester. And at this time, I'd like my interviewee, Father John Koss, to please introduce himself and tell him what his relationship is to me.
Okay, I'm Father John Koss, and I am Mike's uncle. Mike's father was my older brother, so he is my favorite nephew.
Okay, Father John, please tell us where and when you were born.
I was born in Ottawa, Illinois, which is a little town farming village about 80 miles straight west of Chicago, Illinois. I was born on the 29th of December in 1928. My father was very pleased that I came in before the year ended because he got a tax break on my birth, the 29th of December.
Were you born at home or were you born in a hospital?
I'm not sure, Mike, now where I was born. I was born in Ottawa, Illinois, and there was a hospital there in that town. I know my younger sisters, three younger sisters were all born at home because we had moved to the farm. So I'm not sure whether I was born at home or, I know my younger siblings were born at home, but I'm not sure about myself.
Okay. Tell us a little bit more about your immediate family.
Okay, my immediate family consisted of my father, Thomas F. Cross, and his wife, Anna Kennedy. My father drove a truck for the DuPont dynamite works. He would load dynamite and travel around to the different places near Seneca, Illinois for construction and mining and different things like that. I had three older brothers. Your father, Francis Kennedy Koss. The next was a boy, Paul Koss. Those two were in the service in the Second World War. Fortunately, they both came back alive, well, and everything like that. The next one was Lawrence Koss, my brother, who was worked on the farm most all of his life. Then my sister Joan Koss, who is going to be 90 on the 50th of this year, went into the Daughters of Mary and did missionary work in Okinawa many years, and then started working at the VA hospital and she worked there up until retirement. Next was my sister Betty, who was also in with the Franciscans for a number of years. That she came out and also worked in the VA hospital administrator. The next was Eleanor Koss. She had 6 daughters, 6 girls, and they're all happily married. And she has passed on. Then after Eleanor was Dolores, who was the youngest. She is alive and well in Chicago. So there were 4 boys, 4 girls, and my mother was always favored your father. He was Allah. We all called him Allah because he was mother's favorite. Until I got ordained, I became ordained as a priest. The Irish mother left your father, and I became the favorite.
Tell us a little bit about community back around Ottawa.
It was a small community. There was a population of 1,200 people, very, very small. There were Norwegians, Swedes, and Irish. Most all of them were farmers. Each one of the farmers had probably maybe like we did farm, maybe 320 acres, something like that. And on the farmers, they raised corn and hay. This fed to the cattle. That was the big thing there. They fed cattle, they fed hogs. They'd fatten them up to Chicago where the Armour Meat Company would take over, process them, for the rest of the people. And it was one Catholic church, the St. Patrick's Catholic Church, and our family, of course, always went to Mass, always to Mass, and I think that was one of the reasons why I eventually became interested in the church and interested in missionary activity. I think that was a small community.
How about your work on the farm? Did you do a lot of, was the farm pretty active when you were growing up?
It was. Actually, we have 320 acres. We raise corn, we raise alfalfa. The corn was used to fatten up the cattle. We had beef cattle that we would fatten up and send to market. Also had hogs the same way. We had to grind oats for the hogs, and as well as for the chickens and the, let me see, were there other animals there? No more. That was the end of the animals, I think. So it was basically a farm. It was hard work. When I was about 14 or 15, my father bought a hay baler in the area of farms, and so we did custom baling. We'd go farm to farm and start up around 8 o'clock in the morning, go till 7 o'clock at night, kick out maybe 1,000 hay bales or straw bales or something like that, whatever had to be baled. We also helped my father load the dynamite truck. He would take dynamite around the country, to these different mines and construction sites. So my brother Larry and I would go out to the plant and help him load these 50-pound cases of dynamite. And he'd take off and be gone for a day or so, something like that. So it was a good life. We ate well, enjoyed each other's company,
Great. What are your old family memories passed down from like succeeding generations?
Oldest.
What were your oldest memories of maybe some information about your ancestors being passed down to you back then?
Well, I think one of the things that, when I was growing up, when I was in teens, was they had an annual carnival up in the city of Mendota. Mendota was about 40 miles northwest of Seneca, Illinois, and that's where the family settled when they first arrived. Well, not when they first arrived, but that's when they settled when they went from the East Coast to the Midwest. And they settled, and that's where the family would get together. And the family there would consist mostly of my father's brothers and my father's sisters and their families. So just like every year around carnival time, which was I think on Labor Day weekend, we would get together as a family. Also, now the family has a reunion every year in Watertown, South Dakota. One of my uncles left the Mendota, Illinois area and moved out to Miller, South Dakota. A young lady by the name of Margaret Manning there had 8 children, raised a big family. And so every year that family, that Cost family, has a family reunion out there. My sister Betty and I go every now and then. They go Friday and stay until night. That's one of the heirlooms, I guess, of family, is the Cost family retreat in South Dakota.
And was it your grandfather that came from Ireland, or your great-grandfather? Grandfather, right?
Great-grandfather.
Great-grandfather.
Great-grandfather. John Cost. He was born in Ireland in 1810. His wife, Mary, was in 1812, and they were in Queens County, Ireland. Now, they put it in the States, I think it was in the year of 1848, I believe it was. They come in through Ellis Island. They made their way up to Derby, Connecticut. Derby is the suburb of New Haven, Connecticut, where Yale University is. That town has 3 rivers flow through it, and so in that era, back in the 1830s, there's some mills that were constructed alongside of the rivers. They used water from rivers to turn as a source of power. You know, they would use that to windmill water to turn things they needed in the mill. So my grandfather worked there for about 2 years. He was able to save something like $1,000. He sold his house for $3,000, and then he made way from New Haven, Connecticut, out to Minnesota, Illinois. That was way back in the 1830s, 1840s. I could give you I've got the exact date there someplace. But, you know, it took him, it's 9 miles from New Haven, Connecticut to Chicago. 900 miles. Now, they made it, they made 5 miles a day. So it took about 5 months to make that trip from New Haven, Connecticut, onto Illinois. My great-grandmother had a 2-year-old boy, and she was pregnant. She was pregnant at the time. I say that because the census for that year is that James Coss was born in Derby, Connecticut, and his mother was born years later in Mendota, Illinois. So all during that trip, my great-grandmother, they went out there because at the time of the Illinois Railroad Company building their railroads across the nation, and of course they acquired thousands of acres of land, and they wanted people to farm the land. So they came to New England and found in New England many Irish farmers, Irish people who were farming for, and they made these offers for the land. They got my great-grandfather bought, I think it was 160 acres for $4,000. Now that has been the family up until maybe 15 years ago when my cousins finally sold it. But when they went there, they had to clear the land with trees so that they could sow their crops and everything like that. Yeah.
And so basically, the area around it is where
Right.
Okay. Do you know of any family heirlooms or gifts, diaries, Bibles maybe have been passed down?
Well, when I was doing this, there was a sister Rita from Watertown, South Dakota, who was also interested in doing family, and she found one of the family Bibles where someone was keeping track of all the members of the family. When she was still alive, trying to get that Bible, she couldn't. Nobody else seemed to be able to find it. No, up till now, I guess nobody's found that Bible. But fortunately, there was herself and my oldest uncle. Uncle John had many, many memories of the family. So I talked to him, got there, and I talked to Rita, and I got a lot of information about from there, you know, how they all settled and everything like that. Well, after my great-grandparents died, the farm was turned to his son James Coss, who was my grandfather, James Coss, and he was a Civil War veteran. I think one of the papers that I have is about him. They hailed him as a hero because he was one of the ones that fought in the Civil War, came back, got married to a young lady by the name of Lucy Burns. They had 15 children. 7 of those children died very, very early due to diphtheria, but 8 of those children lived, and one of those children is my father, who's lived in. There were 6 boys and 2 girls that lived, and now most all of them had good families, big families, you know, and they're scattered all around. But all the uncles are gone now. I think my sister Joan is the oldest one in the family now. After her, there's another cousin, Bernie, calls out in who's second, and I'm third. There's them. We're keeping the family going. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you something because I think my father, and I've never heard. I should have said but I think Dad said, I was a policeman, and when I was first, he said that he had an uncle who was a policeman in Chicago. Do you know of anything about that?
Yes, I do. That was on my bill.
Oh, okay.
That was on my side, yes. I don't know. Are you want any information about my father?